The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, June 7th, Blessed Anne of St. Bartholomew. In the writings of St. Teresa of Avila, we can find several allusions to a young lay sister named Anna de San Bartolome, her favorite companion, and whom she described as a very good servant of God. Anna was the daughter of Fernando Garcia and Catalina Manzanas, Mabriono of peasants in the town of Almendral, located about 6 kilometers from Avila. The girl was a shepherdess until she was 20 years old, when she was admitted to the Carmelite Convent of San Jose de Avila. It was then that she met St. Teresa, and she became so interested in Anna that during the last 7 years of her life, she took her with her everywhere and declared that for her work of foundations and reforms, there was no better companion than Anna. On several occasions, the saint insisted that the young woman take the black veil of the professed, but she always refused, because she preferred to be a lay sister. Anna herself has left us a very graphic chronicle of the journey she made in the company of the Doctor of Avila, from Medina to Alba de Tormes, as well as a narration of the saint's last moments, in which she recorded in a pathetic tone her deep joy at seeing the gratitude of her dying mother for the care she lavished on her. The mother had a great love for cleanliness and order, the lay sister tells us. On the day of her death, she could no longer speak. I changed the sheets and covers of her bed, as well as her headdress and the sleeves of her habit. Then the mother examined herself in silence and seemed very satisfied to see herself so clean. Then she looked for me with her eyes, looked at me smiling, and showed me her gratitude by signs. It was in the arms of Anna de San Bartolome where St. Teresa breathed her last breath. The lay sister continued her quiet existence in the convent of Avila for another 6 years, and then an event occurred that caused a radical change in her life. Several important personages of France, especially Madame Acari and Pierre de Bérulle, had decided, after many attempts, to establish the Discalced Carmelites in their country, and, with that object, they requested the help of the Spanish nuns to make their foundation. Anne of Jesus, the successor of St. Teresa, left for France at the head of a group of 5 nuns, among whom was Blessed Anne of St. Bartholomew. Upon arriving in Paris, and while the Princess of Longueville and other ladies of the court were welcoming the sisters, Anne slipped away to the kitchen under the pretext of preparing food for the community. However, the superior had decided that St. Teresa's inseparable companion was destined for higher works, and, without further ado, without taking into account the girl's obvious unwillingness, she took her out of the kitchen and made her a choir sister. Anna signed her act of profession with a simple cross, but, according to authorities on the subject, by then she already knew how to write, since she acted as secretary to St. Teresa for a long time. Others maintain instead that at the moment of making her profession she miraculously learned to write. What is certain is that, having to face new and more complicated responsibilities, she seemed suddenly gifted, not only with the art of writing, but with many other sciences necessary to successfully carry out her task. The establishment of the Carmelites in France encountered so many difficulties that 5 of the 6 Spanish nuns moved to Holland in search of a more favorable environment. Anne remained in France and was appointed superior in the house of Pontoise and then in Tours. At first, the prospect of governing a community plunged her into bitter grief. In tears, she prayed before the Holy Christ. In her fervent prayer, she insisted on her inability and unworthiness to carry out the office and repeated, again and again, that she was nothing more than a piece of straw. Right there, at the foot of the cross, she received an answer that left her full of consolation and strength. "With the straw I light my fires," replied the Lord. A few days later it was announced that Carmelite houses had already been opened in the Netherlands. Blessed Anne was sent to Mons, where she stayed for a year. In 1612 she made her own foundation in Antwerp, and there the heiresses of the noblest Dutch families soon flocked in great numbers, all anxious to set out on the path of perfection, led by a nun who, even during her lifetime, was considered a saint, endowed with the gifts of prophesying and working miracles. On 2 occasions when Antwerp was besieged by the forces of the Prince of Orange and on the verge of being captured, Mother Anne was in prayer all night and the city was saved. As a result, the Carmelite nun was declared, by popular acclaim, defender and protector of Antwerp. Her death, which occurred in 1626, gave rise to an extraordinary demonstration of mourning, in which more than 20,000 people paraded before her corpse, exposed for 3 days, to touch it with rosaries and other objects of devotion. Many years later, the city continued to venerate her memory with annual processions in which members of the city council, candles in hand, led the march to the convent. Ana de San Bartolomé was beatified in 1917.